Bring in Bob Engel now from the Asbury Park Press, co-author of Christie, The Inside Story of His Rise to Power. Eric Lach as well, associate editor of Talking Points Memo. Thanks for being with us here today. And we were listening to Christie. So far, no Bridgegate questions have been levied towards the governor. And he laid out that rule. Hey, if you're going to ask me a question about that, you better be ready because I'm going to come back at you. Bob Engel, you've watched the governor for many years. You wrote the book on him. Any surprise here? And isn't he really in his element? He's going to come out today. 90 minutes we expect, right? That he's going to sit there during this town hall talking to residents, the press obviously watching too.
Well, the whole idea is to get him back on track. He got a lot of traction because he did a very good job, most people think, with the whole Sandy thing afterwards. And the Bridgegate has become a problem for him, not only in New Jersey, but nationally. And what he wants to do is to get back to what he does best, talking about helping people after Sandy. That's why there's not going to be any questions about anything else, although there have been hecklers at this meeting.
Well, this is New Jersey, isn't it?
Well, it is, yes, but he's not used to being heckled.
Right.
And as far as giving back what you get, I challenge him. Go ahead and ask him the question, see what happens.
Well, Eric, isn't that part of the point here? We're talking about New Jersey.
Right.
There are some hecklers out there.
Right.
New Jerseyans are straightforward.
Right.
They get to the point.
I mean, not to mention that this, he's talking about Sandy funding, but Sandy funding in and of itself has become a separrit scandal apart from these lane closures, with the allegations that Hoboken Mayor...
Well, is this surprising, though, that they're not going for it here?
Going
on Bridgegate?
I guess so. You've got people, and they're going to decide, I guess, what they ask. I mean, it's Sandy funding is a big deal in the state, so it's not that people are going to forget about that because of the lane closures. It's something that lots of people in the state are going to care about.
Bob, to you on this, critics of the governor here before the scandal, they described him as a blunt guy. Straightforward. People still call him that, no doubt, but he's got a hot temper. We've been listening to this so far. He's not raised his temper yet.
Oh, no. It's a whole nicer, sweeter Christie.
And a smaller environment.
Yes.
Closed in, not grandiose.
And I would say that also they chose the place to do this where he has a lot of supporters. This is Christie land where they're doing this. And then usually the rules are that you stick to the subject, and these questions are pre-screened. So there are no surprises here.
And he doesn't want it to be too big and too fanciful. He's trying to go back to his knitting, isn't he?
Right. And he certainly doesn't want to deal with any real reporters, because those pesky reporters ask tough questions, and then they ask follow-up, and it's impossible to get out of it. So that's what he's trying to avoid.
Eric, you reported on a revelation that's come out in documents tied to Bridgegate. I want to play one piece of sound here. Of course, we'll continue to watch what Christie is saying there. But essentially, what David Sampson said, a top Port Authority official, he spoke yesterday, right? And that's what you're reporting on. He said this, quote, "I cannot allow this agency to be mischaracterized." He goes on to say other things, and I'll play that for you right now.
I cannot allow this agency to be mischaracterized by the actions of a few individuals when the day-to-day work of so many, including this board, is so important. On behalf of the Board of Commissioners, we are deeply sorry for inconvenience caused to our travelers.
So we're hearing from the Port Authority now.
Right.
And we're getting some information.
Right.
We have that reaction there from Mr. Sampson. There's also some question about texts, right?
Right. So in the documents that were released yesterday by the Borough of Fort Lee, there was a text message exchange between the borough's chief of police and this Port Authority police officer, Chip Michaels, who's now come under I mean, he's being investigated for basically his communication and his role on the first day of the closures. He allegedly chauffeured David Wildstein, the former Port Authority executive who orchestrated the closures around that morning. And they've got this text message exchange where this Port Authority cop suggests rerouting traffic in Fort Lee, and the chief of police responds and says, "Can't reroute it that way, there's gridlock." Now, it's unclear exactly what that means, but what it shows is that you've got this cop in the Port Authority, this agency cop who is, talking about traffic. The topic of conversation isn't the traffic study, but it's the traffic going on. Like that's what everybody's talking about that morning.
All right, we have to leave it there. Thank you so much again for your perspective today. Appreciate your time. Bob Engel, as well as Eric Lach, thank you.